should we just start right now? Hey, it's Unearthed ARTcana. It's not Challenge Raiders because I want to have another week to make the drawing look good. So we're going to talk about the new classes that have come out in this newest edition of Unearthed ARTcana.
We need a jingle.
We're professionals. It's fine.
Yes, exactly.
The old school way would be we would shout the monster. So maybe we just shout
Path of the Beast. Right. So the first one's it's a barbarian. The last time it was helpful because they were all psionic, so there was like a theme. These ones do not have a theme. There's just 4 guys. We're going to talk about 2 of them today. We're going to talk about the barbarian and the paladin. Right, barbarian.
Yeah, and there's quite a few more coming actually because this is called Subclasses Part 1.
I didn't even notice that. I literally just saw that as well. This is part. Oh god. Oh, we have to make so many. Okay. Anyways.
Well, quite explicitly, this one is a lycanthrope character,
Yep.
Somebody who has an inner beast.
Yeah.
That when they rage, they in some way transform part of their body, or maybe more of their body. In case I guess it's up to you. You just reveal the beast within, and that enables you to use natural weapons.
Yeah. And a unique natural weapon attack. Essentially, the first thing they say is like, "What is the origin?" Which I think is very cool. Like, thinking about because obviously like. Thinking about why you're a beast, there's like you're related to someone who is literally like a lycanthrope, like a werewolf. But there's also maybe you're descended from a legendary druid is one of them, or you've been cursed or blessed by some fates, or
ancient animal spirits,
or Naruto,
or you're Naruto.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think that's a very cool thing to think about when you're making this. And again, like I think the idea of having like a werewolf fighter or barbarian is really cool, but I also think all the other options are very cool too. So it's a cool class.
I like this one a lot. I know I've talked to you before about how I was trying to make this class before, and I think they've actually done a pretty good job of it because there's enough kind of flexibility in it. Like I quite like that they haven't shoehorned you like with some of the other ones, like with Frenzy and stuff. This is more like the Totem Warrior, where you pick this barbarian and then you get to go through and basically like choose like at level 3, like what's your weapon. Later on you get to choose like what's your kind of like aspect. Like do you swim, do you climb, do you jump? Yeah. And you kind of like swap those out and can pick between them, so you can kind of either make like, oh yes, I am a werewolf and this is my werewolf, or you could make something even crazier where you rapidly change form when you rage.
What I like about it from like a design point of view is it's similar to things that exist in the game already with like the shape changing spells that like give you like beast aspects and stuff like that. So it's not introducing like weird mechanics or anything. It's quite basic, which in a good way, I think.
Looking at reading through it doesn't like seem like it would overwhelm a player. Like you could pick it up and you're kind of you know what you're doing like pretty easily. And the option stuff's quite great actually. Looking at it,
the class flavor's fun.
Yeah, the class flavor is fun. I like obviously not to go too far into it, but there's a lot of like cool kind of like extra tanky options if you want to go like health regen with the bite and stuff, which is quite fun. Obviously, like later on we don't get to, but obviously Cooler Hunt is a whole thing that's quite interesting as well.
When I was looking at the Core of the Hunt ability, basically you do a big shout and then everyone around you gets reckless attacks, but you get temporary hit points. That one's a little more confusing, but I
like it.
It is, but yeah, when I was thinking about it in terms of like, it's like for like a werewolf pack thing, or like maybe your
pack by this point.
Well, exactly, and I think you could either have it being like leading by example, like inspiring them, or you could have it as like a moment of madness if you're like shouting and everyone sort of goes a bit crazy,
whipped into a fury. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and they do have this sort of like kind of gothic madness thing going on with some of the other abilities. It's very cool.
You could even go Jekyll and Hyde.
That's true. Yeah. Neil, you said there was something about one of the weapons that was.
Oh, yeah.
The wording on it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Well, this is just like when I was reading through this. So what stuck in my mind when reading through these natural weapons, like Sam, you talked about the regen, like the D8 bite that you can then kind of regen hit points from. There's also claws that are a D6 and then a tail, which is a D12 of each. All of these weapons are having to compete with a great sword or a great axe.
Yeah.
Because you need to have to use one of these instead of your regular weapon.
Yeah.
And the claws thing is that when you take the attack action in return and make an attack with your claws, you can make one additional attack during your claws as part of the same action.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a little that's not as tightly worded as I would like it, because it's not you get to make a attack as a bonus action with your claws. You make it in the attack, which does that mean you get 3 or 4? Because technically you're making 2 attacks in that attack action, and it's not like a bonus action like any of the other ones. So I think it would need a bit of reading and maybe a bit of tightening up, because if that is 4 attacks a d6, that's nuts at level 5.
It's too much.
That is nuts. It's only a d6, but it's a modifier or a crit chance every time.
It's easy to forget as well that the barbarian gets extra damage when they're raging, so it's not just your strength; it's also the plus 2 or 3 or whatever it is.
And when you hit like level 12, bonus crits.
Yeah, exactly. So that could be crazy. And if you're like a half orc, and then anyway.
Well, it's got to be. That's the thing. It's got to beat swinging a great axe. So I get it.
Yeah, and it's also got to beat potentially getting some interesting magic item weapons.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it does make sense for it to be good, but it's also just like, I think the wording should be.
I could. And anyone in the comments and stuff, like I can definitely see the argument that it is only once.
I think it's only once. But
I think that's what they meant.
I think that's what they meant as well, reading it again, but you're right, it is not perfectly worded.
Yeah.
What I really like about the Unearthed ARTcana is because they have this thing where you can increase like your traversing the terrain abilities, like swim speed and the climbing speed, and with the jump one, they've had to remind you how jumping like in combat works, because it still uses your move, so you can't jump further than your movement, which I had to learn very sadly when I made a character that mathematically could do a running long jump of 80 feet, and I was like, oh, my movement's real further. Like, we looked at the jumping rule, I was like, oh no, my jump is 30 feet, but I guess I'm stuck in the air. But yeah, it's a cool class. It's not. We didn't really talk about it. I guess the infectious fury is the thing. They have a thing where they can do extra psychic damage when they like bite you or attack you, and they describe it as being like a rabid thing. Or they can make the target use its reaction to hit someone else. That's the only one which I think is quite specific in like the flavor it's going for. So the rest of this is very customizable. That one is very much to do with like the idea of a werewolf and like rabid and going crazy, and it might be harder to explain, but I don't think it's too much.
Lycanthropy is a disease.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's fantasy rabies. I think it's called at the like the 6th level thing. Your weapons become magical. I think that's
that's needed.
It is definitely needed.
It's definitely needed, and it makes sense as well, because I think like there's like lycanthropy and stuff like are diseases, but they are magical diseases. Yeah. So having an inherent magical thing, it's pretty cool. And again, like it does mean that you're not going to be going, oh well, I should just use this magic, this +1 greatsword or whatever. Like,
I guess maybe you might want to speak to your DM if you're playing a low fantasy setting with this class for that, because maybe having magical that early, or having additional magic, because if magic's super rare in a setting and you're just getting I've just got magic stuff now.
That's true. I think this is one that you might want to consult with the DM just in general, just to like. I mean,
any Unearthed ARTcana you probably should anyway.
When do you choose your thing as barbarian?
A third.
Is that third? Okay, so this is again something that maybe you're going to want to think about in advance. So you're not going to I'm going to play barbarian for 2 levels. I think most people do choose what subclass they're going to go for before they
get
start
to it.
Playing.
Yeah, sure.
With this one, it leads a great hook for your DM. At 3rd level to get bitten.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That'd be pretty strong. That'd be pretty great. Because you can plan that out. You can plan that out with your DM. Don't let the other players know, and say to them, your DM, hey, I want to be this. Can we get attacked by whatever?
Or at night, just a night encounter while we're asleep. Some guy sneaks through, and it begins a combat, and Joe's been bitten.
Yeah, that could be very cool. That'd be very fun, actually. It's kind of like how if you're playing a paladin, when you take if you are playing from 1st level, because the paladin doesn't get the oath till 3rd level, so the bit where you swear your oath should be like a moment of character development in some way.
Yeah. In my Sunday campaign, my Oathbreaker, they tried being a regular paladin up until their 3rd level, when they when they were basically gave up on their powers because they didn't work.
Right.
So they were like a regular paladin with no powers up until 3rd level.
The slightly less good fighter.
Yeah.
That's cool. What I've drawn, just to quickly talk, I've drawn something a bit weird. I wanted to go I like the idea of like a straight up, really doing it straightforward like werewolf guy, but I wanted to do something perhaps more unusual for what you might think. I guess.
Reminds me of Lizard from Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously this is how I draw. I've not drawn a Dragonborn on the channel actually. I don't like doing dragon heads. I give them sort of squarish heads with dragony bits. But anyway, he's got like a dinosaur tail. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And also like maybe if you are playing like a Dragonborn or something that has a sort of animal nature to the race, then maybe when you are doing this, maybe your bestial elements are emphasized more.
But yeah, I like it. He could be draconic in nature or just dinosaur in nature.
Yeah.
Both of those.
I think the more you put into like thinking about like what your story is and why you're that, the more you'll get out of that. But I think if you play it straight up, it won't be bad.
Like if you got more draconic when you raged as a Dragonborn, you could even home rule your thing that you can't use your dragon breath until you rage.
That could be cool, yeah.
Yeah, because
I like the sound of that a lot, actually.
I think anyone like.
But if you imagine like a tiefling and like their horns grow huger.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be strictly beast. It just needs to be a terror within. I feel
exactly. Yeah. And like the weapons like do say, oh, it's a bite, oh, it's a tail, oh, it's a claws. I don't see any reason why you couldn't say like, oh, it's horns or whatever. I think that's.
Or you can do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and have a walking cane.
It's true.
That is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Hyde beats a guy with a cane to death, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think that is what he does.
I love the idea of a gentleman barbarian that just rips out of his suit every time.
Well, yeah, but he, I have a backup character who is a barbarian, but he is. Normally he's a businessman, and then he's seething with rage underneath until he snaps, and then he takes off his suit jacket.
Angry salaryman,
a slasher of prices.
But yeah, that's the barbarian. Shall we talk about the Paladini?
Yeah, go for it.
This guy's great.
I really like this guy as well. I played a paladin over Christmas with my brother, and when I was looking through the paladin oaths, I was trying to figure out like which one there was. I was just looking, I was like, there seemed like a weird gap in like the paladin oaths for what this one is, which is a straight up, we fight things that aren't meant to be in the material plane. Anything that's like invading is, their purview, as it were. Anyway, Oath of the Watchers.
Yeah, loyalty, discipline, vigilance. It's this character that I think has garnered a lot more common appeal with Game of Thrones. It's the Night's Watch kind of character. You know what? That's a really good way to think about it as well. Yeah, they're all about being very serious and like they've got a job to do. If anyone comes to this material plane, be they a nasty fae, a demon, an aberration from space, these guys aren't going to be happy about it. In a way, that might be the thing I don't like about the class, is that it's really broad, but it has to be broad, because if it was just demons, then it would be a bad class. Yeah. So it has to be broad. They are the guard who's always watching, always vigilant, as I say, vigilance.
It makes so much sense to have a class like this for Paladin, and it is weird that there wasn't one before.
Yeah, because the other I'm trying to think of what the other Paladins are. They're like Conquest and like they're all cool, but like it's just. This one was like a super straightforward one that I feel like is weird it wasn't in the base, but anyhow.
Yeah, I think if you had to play this, you'd have to play the straightest man in the party. Like,
I think it would be
in that comedy troupe. You are the straight guy.
I think if I was to want to play this, I'd want the only thing that I'd want to like know from like the DM before choosing this class is, are there going to be invading forces for other planes? And is that going to matter? Because you don't want to be playing this guy and then be doing nothing but fighting undeads and goblinoids and stuff.
Yeah,
because then you're just like
fighting bandits all day.
It's just like so I think know your setting and make sure like, and just say to the DM like, hey, I want to give this a go. Will that be good? Will that matter? Will it be interesting? Because if not, then it'll be a real waste, because again they are so tuned to this specific idea.
Okay. I was just to say, and if you didn't want to be the straight I am the law of this kind of thing. You could be a character who has whose family have been destroyed by these elements, and you now joined an organization that trains you how to fight them. The idea that there's potentially an order out there of these guys, like basically the Mulder and Scully X-Filesing it, like around the world, maybe looking for these things. A great hook for a higher level character coming into the campaign, like 4 or 5.
That's true, yeah. Pretty good. I was thinking along the same lines actually when I was thinking about this class. I was thinking this could work as like a solo guy, or this could work as an Order of Knights or whatever. I think this one works much better if there are a group, an organized force of them, because the idea that you are part. They even have in the thing, loyalty is one of their tenets, like loyalty to your comrades and fellows. Obviously, it's the party, but if it's like an oath, and having that be to the people who are, sacrificing their freedom to defend is a good thing.
A respected organisation that potentially isn't very respected anymore.
I'm thinking, what's that one in Skyrim? Vigilance of Stendarr.
Oh,
that's a pretty obvious equivalent, I think. And they are like hack versions, like they are kind of like rubbish. But I think
rubbish on purpose.
Yeah, deliberately so, yeah.
I don't know how useful it'd be from a player character perspective, but I'm now thinking of them, like this organisation being like kind of like bad guys. If you had a realm, because like
why not? If you had like tieflings and elves, because they don't like Fae.
Because not all Fae are evil, but obviously they'd be the kind they wouldn't care. So like
if you're playing in a setting where you don't start on the material plane,
trying to get in.
Yeah, if you go there, then these guys could like attack you.
You started on another plane, and these are immigration.
Yeah.
Oh Christ. Yeah, I mean it could be cool.
Like they're like check you out. Like they home in on you with some kind of divine magic.
No, yeah.
And they check you out, and they're like, yeah, that's okay, but like we're keeping an eye on you guys.
Yeah. Maybe the paladin in the group, who is this class, is there to keep tabs on the party.
That's perfect.
And then over time they're like, well, okay,
you're right. I guess
you guys are obviously on the side of good.
We haven't actually talked anything.
Yeah, I'd say should we talk about Channel Divinity for? We've got some new lore ideas because obviously we quite like.
Luckily it's relatively simple. Obviously, they can channel divinity to give advantage on saves for your friends.
Mental stats.
All the mental stats. So basically, anything that's going to try and dominate your mind or like charm you, which is cool, makes a lot of sense. A lot of fiends, demons, and what do they call them? What are mind flayers? Are they aberrations? Yeah, aberrations. They will all use those saves, so that's a cool thing that makes sense.
And they can make the baddies run away.
Yeah, and you can make them scared. So it's like a turn undead, but for
I love that.
Yeah,
for the aberrations, fae, fiends, all that stuff. It's very cool.
Holding out your holy symbol, like back you swine.
Yeah. Later on, another aura, everyone gets a plus to their initiative equal to the charisma modifier of the paladin, which. What I really like about that is it's not all it's doing is helping you and your friends equally to be better than the enemy. So it's not like an advantage where like someone in the party will roll really well and the other one it won't really matter because they roll badly twice. It's just knocking everyone up a few steps in the initiative order potentially.
It's also only people that are right next to you as well.
Yeah, it's true. It is close.
So
depending on the party size and like how the encounter begins. You might be out of it, but everyone who's within that 10 feet is going to get a plus.
I think a great character would be like a bodyguard character for somebody of importance.
Yeah.
Another player character who, for instance, could be somebody who maybe Mind Flayers have taken interest in.
Maybe playing as the sorcerer who's been experimented on sorcerer.
Exactly, and this person is now their bodyguard.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it could be very much like those two, work together.
As Mulder and Scully.
And at first their orders are, kill them if things get out of the hand. But then after a while it's like, well, now that we spent this time, I'm going to try and help you, not just cast judgment immediately.
This person also could be very useful in inevitably defeating this evil.
Exactly, yeah.
It's... Again, we have touched on it while we're going through these. They're simple, but not
boring.
Yeah,
it's a classic thing, and it's like how the I know you and Neil have talked about this bard, the College of Eloquence, was it called?
Yes.
Yeah.
The College of Eloquence bard from Unearthed a little while ago was like the quintessential like bard. It was so good, and it was like, why wasn't this
so
the base bard? Like, oh, awesome. And it's really good to have it there.
Vigilant Rebuke's interesting, but not too interesting. It's just reactions for damage. Mortal Bulwark is the fun one.
Well, I'll quickly say about Vigilant Rebuke, one thing is that it'll be really handy for breaking concentration, because basically someone casts a spell, it does the spell, and then you do damage to them. A little bit of psychic damage. And it's like, yeah, that could be really good for breaking concentration on some nasty spells, like Charm. So again, it makes sense for like what the character's meant to be doing.
You've got wards or something, you know. That
I like that it says who dares cast unwanted spells as well.
Yeah, well, we'll have a link to the article obviously in the description, but the wording on all this is quite fun.
Yeah,
they had a good time writing this one, I think.
Yeah, I adore Mortal Bulwark. You get this at level 20.
Yeah.
So right at max level, so you're never gonna be able to use this, but its flavour.
That's true.
Its flavour is so good. You get true sight to 120 feet, so you can see really what everyone is.
Yeah.
They can't hide.
I love true sight. It's a really cool thing.
You have advantage against all of the elementals, faith fiends, and aberrations, so you're coming for them. Yeah. And then on every single hit against them, they have to make a charisma saving throw, or they get banished, which is like...
It's so crazy. It's so much. It's really cool.
If it fails and they don't have to repeat the saves every time, it's like they're done like now.
But then you've got advantage on hitting them.
Yeah, exactly. And I just love the paladin who fights his way through, swinging left, swinging right.
And they're just disappearing.
Just see them disappearing.
Because,
of course, banishment works if you're sending them back to their home plane, then they stay there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
if you're fighting them on the material plane, or even in the Underdark, because a lot of these things come from different planes from there, they will be zapped back and not come back.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool.
And luckily as well, it's a choice. So if you want to finish them off and kill them, you're not going to accidentally send back the big bad back to his his castle in space. You're going to say, no, you're staying here so I can finish you off.
Oh, and also an interesting thing, their domain spells, they get counterspell.
Yes, their domain spells are, again, really well chosen. But Moonbeam, that feels really appropriate.
Moonbeam reveals Lycanthrope's true form.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like, it's just cool.
And the Hold monster, of course, at 17, so...
Oh, is he really a dwarf?
Yes, so what I was thinking for this guy, I was like, the Fiend is like a very classic and obvious one. Not obvious, it's like it's the paladin, like, classic enemies, the demons. But I was thinking, what would be like a good thing for fighting mind flayers? Because I was thinking like sci-fi stuff, and dwarves. If you had like an underground dwarf settlement, might be afraid of the Underdark and the things that come out of it, and have an order of knights who are there to prevent the Underdark Dizins causing issues, and mind flayers especially.
Hope their spread.
That's very good.
Yeah.
And
I like. That would be definitely great for multiple orders in a kingdom, world building already, and then there's this one order that's just about stopping one order's about stopping digging too deep. Yeah,
the Watchers. It's like what do they do? And then like I like the idea. Like I try to get in the design a little bit. He's got sort of unusual like bulbousness design, and the way I've been drawing mind flayers on the channel is giving them this sort of old school sci-fi like big rounded look. So I thought maybe an order who's dedicated to fighting a thing, at some point will begin to like take on their technology and their techniques to fight back with them. So again, he's got these little nubbins on him. Maybe that's for like deflecting psychic energy. Who knows? And he's got this sort of big faceless helmet to stop them getting in with their tentacles.
Yeah, you can't get tentacles in there. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, that's really cool. And also, it clearly doesn't come off in the same way a traditional helmet would.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not taking this helmet off.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a really cool paladin. All in all, I don't know if I would ever play one. Is the thing, just because I would be so. If the DM said, "Hey, this is the campaign. It's gonna be about." These are the bad guys. This is the bad thing that's happening. Like a portal has opened, and then I'd be like, this would be a really great opportunity to play this class because it'd be very appropriate, it'd be cool, and I'd get to use my stuff a lot, and it'd be useful. If it was just like hey, we're going to be doing some adventure stuff, and what will happen. And I wouldn't want to risk making this character without knowing that you're going to be actually using the things.
I guess there's the worry that you wouldn't be able to like have your moments to shine as often.
Yeah,
because everyone needs those, don't they? Like you need to have those moments where you do the bit that you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't focus on the extra planar element of this,
yeah,
like imagine that there isn't any in a campaign. For instance, you thought there was going to be, and there doesn't turn out to be any.
Yeah.
There's still a class here.
Oh yeah, and you are definitely likely to be fighting, Fae, Fiend, because there's Fiends for every level.
But there's still this vigilant defender working to protect his allies and help them character in there. Yeah. Even without all of the extra abjuration and banishing powers, there is the abhor the spellcaster kind of character in there, which is good.
Because it is so broad, you are likely to get use out of your abilities.
I mean, I bet if we went through every episode of the other show, Challenge Raiders,
on YouTube now.
Yeah, on YouTube, available now.
Hot new show.
How many
Link
would
in
be
the bio.
elementals, fiends, aberrations?
Lots of them.
Quite a lot of them.
Yeah. The Monster Manual has quite a few of those in them. So.
I was just thinking to myself right now about Mortal Bolt level 20 level. You could fight like the Leviathan, like the giant water elemental, and just one hit him.
That is kind of bonkers. That is true. That banishment just on hit is so crazy. But then if you look at all the paladin level 20 things, they are all absolutely insane.
Level 20 for some classes is wild.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's very much fits the idea. The only thing that this one doesn't have this level 20 paladin thing is it doesn't have a whole physical change, because a lot of the paladins 20th level thing is you get wings and a halo and you're glowing. It's oh Christ. So this one's a little more subdued. These two classes I think are pretty good, pretty cool. I already have a favourite paladin oath, but this one's up there, but it's not my favourite one. Hero is my favourite one, obviously. I guess we'll be back to do the other two, a warlock and a monk, hopefully soonish, within a week.
Probably.
It depends, and there should be Challenge Raiders will be back next week.
Done.
To be fair, if you're going to compare them to other good classes, these are not bad.
No, I think they're pretty great. I wouldn't be I was going to say something that I also would not be able to back up. So I was going to say I wouldn't be annoyed if someone was playing them, but I don't think I'd be annoyed by anyone playing anything.
I have been privy to some conversations of people who play D&D who talk about viability when it comes to classes and races.
Yeah.
And I don't like that argument because I could play a character with only 12 charisma and still find a way to be viable.
You have, in fact.
Yeah. 12 charisma bard, and it was great.
It was very good.
So, but I don't think anyone could have an argument that these aren't viable options.
Yeah,
for sure.
If they were to have that argument. It's not like the core of the class doesn't quite work properly, which we might see next week.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe we'll have some revelations about what it's meant to be and what you're meant to do with it, and it all makes sense. Anywho, I think that's going to be the end of this video.
Sure.
Tune in later for some more. I'm not even going to tell you to like, comment, and subscribe, or share it with a friend, because this one doesn't even have an intro. It's just us talking.
I'm also going to tell you to not comment and subscribe and like the video, and also don't click the notification bell.
Are you telling them not to, or are you not telling them to? Because I was just not telling them to. But if you're telling them not to, then that's very different.
I'm trying reverse psychology.
I see.